Daily routine, page 48. Once again, we are on Unit 6 of English 1. And what you're going to do is you're going to look at this. So what does Gary do on the weekend? What does Jamie do on the weekend? What does Gary do on the weekend? He plays tennis. What does Jamie do on the weekend? She rides a bike. What does Bradley do on the weekend? He plays the piano. Okay, so we're going to be in two different pages. We're going to be on page 48. And we're also going to be on page 102. 48 and 102. Okay. Here's your example once again. What does Bradley do on the weekend? He plays the piano. What does Gary do on the weekend? He plays tennis. Let's look over at Damon. What does Damon do on the weekend? He goes bowling. What does Jamie do on the weekend? She rides a bike. What does Edward do on the weekend? He writes a blog. A blog is kind of like a video diary. You're talking about what happened to you during the day. Okay, now we have 4 people we are missing. Clyde, Jill, Angela, and Frank. What does Angela do on the weekends? She goes for a walk. What does Frank do on the weekend? He practices the guitar. What does Clyde do on the weekend? He watches sports. What does Jill do on the weekend? She does yoga. You could also say she practices yoga. You can practice yoga, martial arts like Tai Chi, judo, things like that. So go through and be sure you have the correct person in the correct box. Let's do this one more time. Well, your example. Listen and repeat. What does Bradley do on the weekend? He plays the piano. What does Gary do? He plays tennis. What does Damon do? He goes bowling. What does Jamie do? She rides a bike. What does Edward do? He writes a blog. Okay, the other 4 people, we have to go to page 102. Okay. What does Angela do on the weekend? She goes for a walk. What does Frank do on the weekend? He practices the guitar. What does Clyde do on the weekend? He watches sports. What does Jill do on the weekend? She does yoga. Grammar review. Grammar review. Okay, our grammar review is on page 51. It's on page 51. Okay. Fill in the blanks with the correct word as it is in the example. Example, I drive my car. My husband drives a truck. I drive a car. My husband drives a truck. I go to work at 7:30 a.m. Cindy goes to school at 9 a.m. We watch news programs on TV. Our son watches cartoons. Cartoons are animation, anime. We eat at home on Sunday. Kevin eats at a restaurant. I have 2 pets. Henry has 1 pet. I live in Los Angeles. My sister lives in San Diego. I study accounting. My friend studies economics. We play the piano. Our neighbor plays the violin. They drink coffee in the morning. She drinks tea. Okay, write the correct answer and then listen and repeat. Okay. I go to work at 7:30 a.m. Cindy goes to school at 9 a.m. We watch news programs on TV. Our son watches cartoons. We eat at home on Sunday. Kevin eats at a restaurant. I have 2 pets. Henry has 1 pet. I live in Los Angeles. My sister lives in San Diego. I study accounting. That means study of numbers. Okay. My friend studies economics. Economics is the study of money and how it moves around the world. Okay. We play the piano. Our neighbor plays the violin. They drink coffee in the morning. She drinks tea. Okay, notice goes has an ES, watches has an ES, studies, the Y turns to IE. Okay? And have turns to has. Okay, write a question for each answer. Okay? Does he like fishing? Yes, he does. He likes fishing. Do you live in Australia? Yes, we do. We live in Sydney. Does she go to Stanford? No, she doesn't. She doesn't go to Stanford. Stanford is a very expensive college in the United States, like Yale or Harvard. Does he cook dinner? Yes, he does. He cooks dinner every day. Do they work downtown? No, they don't. They don't work downtown. Is the dog loud? Sorry, does the dog bark? Let's try that one. Does the dog bark? Yes, it does. It barks loudly. Bark is mong mong. Okay. Listen and repeat. Does he like fishing? Yes, he does. He likes fishing. Do you live in Australia? Yes, we do. We live in Sydney. Does she go to Stanford? No, she doesn't. She doesn't go to Stanford. Does he like to cook? Yes, he does. He cooks dinner every day. Do they work downtown? No, they don't. They don't work downtown. Does the dog bark? Yes, it does. It barks loudly. Okay, so once again, do you live in Sydney or in Australia? Does she go to Stanford? Does he cook? Do they work downtown? Does the dog bark? Now you're going to write down your answers. Do you like sports? Yes, I like sports. No, I don't like sports. Does the person next to you have long hair? Yes, he or she does. No, he or she doesn't. Does your teacher wear jeans? Yes, I do. No, I don't. I don't wear them to work. Does your father, at least not usually, does your father read a newspaper? Yes, he does. No, he doesn't. Do you have a part-time job? Part-time job means you're working less than 4 hours a day, 4 hours or less a day. Do you have a part-time job? Yes, I do. No, I don't. Some part-time jobs are 6 hours or even 8 hours because you only work 1 or 2 days a week, but generally they're 4 hours. Okay, so yes, I like sport. No, I don't like sports. Yes or no, the person does or doesn't have long hair. No, my teacher does not wear jeans. Yes, he does. No, he doesn't read the newspaper. Yes, I do. No, I don't have a part-time job. Optional activities. You don't have to do them, but they greatly help you when you practice. It's not on the test itself, but it does help you practice for the test. It does help you practice for the test. Okay, now we're going to do some listening. Okay. Okay, listen to the people talk about their daily routine and check if it's true, which means that they are doing this. False is no, they're not doing it. So true is yes, false is no. Okay. Jason. I work downtown in a big office building. Traffic is really bad, so I usually ride my bike to work. When I finish for the day, I don't like to cook. I usually order food at home. One more time on Jason. I work downtown in a big office building. Traffic is really bad. Traffic is all the cars on the road. Traffic is really bad, so I usually ride my bike to work. When I finish for the day, I don't like to cook. I usually order food at home. Alice. I'm a morning person. That means when Alice wakes up, she is awake, she is happy, she likes being awake in the morning. I'm a morning person. I like to get up early and go to the gym. I exercise for about an hour and then I go to work. In the afternoon, I have lunch around alone because I like to read a book while I eat. Alice. I'm a morning person. I like to get up early and go to the gym. I exercise for about an hour and then I go to work. In the afternoon, I have lunch alone because I like to read a book while I eat. Carlos. I go to Boston College. My major is filmmaking. Most of my friends like watching sports, but I don't. I love watching movies. Since my first class starts early in the morning, I don't have time to eat breakfast. Carlos. I go to Boston College. My major is filmmaking. Most of my friends like watching sports, but I don't. I love watching movies. Since my first class starts early in the morning, I don't have time to eat breakfast. Okay. Jason. He works in an office. True. I work downtown in a big office building. Traffic is really bad, so I usually ride my bike to work. So, 2. He rides his bike is true. I don't like to cook. I usually order food at home. He likes cooking is false. That is not true. He likes to order takeout food, which is food you pick up food you take home. Alice. I'm a morning person. I like to get up early and go to the gym. She sleeps late is false. She likes being up early. She goes to the gym. That's true. I like to get up early and go to the gym. She has lunch with her friends. False. I have lunch alone because I like to read a book while I work. While I eat. So do I. I do too. Anyway, Carlos. Okay. He doesn't eat breakfast. True. My first class starts early in the morning. I don't have time to eat breakfast. Carlos. He studies filmmaking. True. My major is filmmaking. Your major is the thing you study the most in college. He likes watching sports. False. Most of my friends like watching sports, but I don't. I love watching movies. That makes sense. He's a filmmaker. Okay, I'm going to read one more time. Jason. I work downtown in a big office building. Traffic is really bad, so I usually ride my bike to work. When I finish for the day, I don't like to cook. I usually order food at home. Alice. I'm a morning person. I like to get up early and go to the gym. I exercise for about an hour and then I go to work. In the afternoon, I have lunch alone because I like to read a book while I eat. Carlos. I go to Boston College. My major is filmmaking. Most of my friends like watching sports, but I don't. I love watching movies. Since my first class starts early in the morning, I don't have time to eat breakfast. Pronunciation. Listen and circle the word you hear. Then practice with a partner. Read one word from each pair and see if your partner can guess which word you read. Don't worry about that, about having a partner, just worry about circling the correct word. Listen and circle the correct word. Fill, fill, hit, hit, peak, peak. That's the top of the mountain is a peak. Sit, sit, seek, seek, cheap, cheap, live, live, eat, eat, beat, beat, bin, bin. One more time. Circle the correct word. Fill, fill, hit, hit, peak, peak, sit, sit, seek, seek, cheap, cheap, live, live, eat, eat, beat, beat, bin, bin. All right, staff meeting. That is a work meeting. Okay, staff meeting. The reason why it's called a staff meeting is staff are the people that you work with, your coworkers. So they're the people on a team or that work. So a staff meeting is a work meeting. Coworkers, those are the people that you work with. So wherever it is you work, you probably have coworkers unless you work alone. Okay. So, all right. So let's look at this person here. Okay. 6:45, I drive to work. 9:30, I have a staff meeting. And 12 o'clock, I eat lunch with my coworkers. 6 o'clock, I cook dinner at home. 8:30, I watch TV. 11 o'clock, I go to bed. So what you're going to write down is what you do. What you do. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm just going to talk about me. Write down what you do. Okay? This is my example. At 5:45, I wake up. At 6 o'clock, well, I do some reading and some meditation. At around 6 o'clock, I start working out. At 6:30, I take a shower. At 6:45 to 7, somewhere in there, I eat my breakfast. Then I have to feed my kitty cats too. I have 2 cats. Then I have to be on the bus by 8 o'clock a.m., so I get on the bus. I have to be at work at 9. I try to get there around 8:30. So I'm on the bus between 7:45 and 8 o'clock. And I have to walk to my bus stop. So I have to leave the house around 7:30. So I leave the house at 7:30. I get on the bus sometime between 7:45 and 8 a.m. I get to work. My first class is at 9 a.m. I have classes until 11. I eat lunch. Sometimes I have a 1 o'clock class. And I stay at work until between 4 and 5 o'clock because I'm checking emails. I sometimes am speaking with students. I'm writing. I'm working on lessons. There's all sorts of things I do. At around 4:45, I pack up my stuff and I go home. At somewhere between 5:30 and 6 o'clock, I get home. I eat dinner. I feed my cats. I do some work on the computer. I finish that. Then I watch TV somewhere around 7 o'clock. I have nightly phone calls with friends from all over the world. And some of those are at 7 o'clock. Some of those are at 9:30. Depends. And I'm definitely asleep by 11. I watch TV 2 or 3 times a week, and I read a lot of books. So that's my schedule. You're going to write down your own. You're going to write down what you do during the day. Okay, time order, page 50. First, that's the first thing. Next, that's something else. Then, it's another thing. In the evening is after 5 p.m. At night, after 7 p.m. Finally, it's the last thing you do. My busy day. I have a busy day. First, I drive to work at 6:45. Next, I have a staff meeting. Then I have lunch with my coworkers at noon. In the evening, I go home and cook dinner. At night, I watch TV. Finally, I go to bed at 11 o'clock. So it's asking you to write the same number of things that you wrote at the top, in the blue, the time activity. So the things you wrote here in your time activity, you're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things, okay? You're going to write your 6 things here. Let me go ahead and I'm going to tell you mine. I have a busy day. First, I read, I meditate, I work out, I take a shower, I eat breakfast. Then I get dressed and go to work on the bus at 7:30. Then I get to work around 8:30. Then next I work at 9 o'clock. Then I have lunch at noon. I might have lunch with a coworker or by myself. Normally I read by myself. I do work at work. In the evening, I go home and cook dinner or I get takeout. At night, I watch TV. Finally, I go to bed at 11 o'clock. So that's my day. You go ahead and write your day. Write about what it is you do during your day. Okay, we covered a lot in this chapter. Let's go to grammar review. Fill in the blanks with the correct word as the example. Okay. So we covered a lot in this chapter. Once again, you're going to want to know what first, next, then, in the evening, at night, and finally are. You're going to know what a staff meeting is and coworkers are. Okay, you're going to want to be sure you go over your grammar review on page 51 so you understand. Be sure you do your A and B, and be sure you understand the vocabulary and what these people are doing. Be able to say he plays the piano, she rides her bike on the weekend. On the weekend is Saturday and Sunday. Most Americans and people in English-speaking countries believe it starts around 5 or 6 or 7 whenever you leave work on Friday is also a weekend. Okay. Make sure you know this vocabulary. Make sure you know your grammar focus. Be sure you understand it. Be sure you're able to make all of the sentences. Be very careful of your spelling tips for the verbs. You need to be sure you understand how to talk about those verbs. And like watches, fixes, washes, okay, becomes ES. And do and becomes does, and go becomes goes. Those are 2 weird ones. Be sure you know those, because the weird ones are probably on the test. Be sure you can get an affirmative, which is a positive statement that's true, a negative statement, which is does not or doesn't or do not. Okay, be sure you're able to give those. Be sure you understand the dialogue, and be sure you understand the meaning chunk. All of that will be on your test. And be sure you're able to understand that he or she does or does not something. Does he or she something? Like, does she cook? No, she works late at the hospital. You could also say, does she cook? No, she doesn't. Make sure you also can say, what do you do after work? I something. Do you something? Yes, I do. No, I don't. And be sure you're able to talk about what you do during the day, your routine. Well, we covered the entire chapter 6. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later.